Hola a todos! Today I present you 3 reasons why we typically procrastinate. And when we look at those reasons, we actually also get into an easy solution of how to counteract that problem. So think about the typical situation at the start of the day, or maybe somewhere in between your day. You look at your to-do list if you have one, and you kind of don't feel like starting on any of those things. So in this video, we'll analyze why that happens, and usually when you get more aware of why you don't want to start on anything, you can also counteract those things, because just recognizing the problem is often half the solution. So let's see how we can start on our tasks. So first reason why we don't like to start on anything is the task itself. So we have something to do, we know we have to do it, but we kind of don't like it. We don't want to do this. And also in this situation, analyze a little bit more. What's the problem? Why do you not like to do this? Is it something that's boring? Or maybe you're afraid to do it. Sometimes it's like we have these huge things in front of us and we're kind of unsure, can I really do that? What do others expect from me? Will I be good enough? And this keeps us from even starting, funnily. And of course it's clear, if we don't start, it will be bad result. That's for sure. And sometimes it's just the size of the task. So sometimes it feels like, oh, this is such a huge thing. I don't even know where to start, so I don't start. So when you have some of those reasons, or maybe some other reason why you don't like the task, you have several things that you can do about it. So the most simple thing would be maybe not to do it, maybe not doing it yourself, or maybe not doing it at all. So maybe the task is very unimportant, then you don't have to do it maybe. Or maybe you find somebody else to do it. Maybe you can switch tasks with someone. Maybe somebody else has something to do that they don't like and you prefer to do. Maybe just try that. Or you find a collaborator. Sometimes it's much more fun to do things together, and maybe there is somebody around that could not necessarily help you, but really do it together, maybe have some kind of exchange, and just get into the mood of doing it. Something that can always kind of work is to reinterpret the task into something like, at least it's an experience. At least I can learn something from it. That often is a bit of a lame excuse, like, oh, okay, at least I learned something. But this is often true, and sometimes we fear a task or just don't like it. And when we start it and we're in it, it turns out to be actually quite interesting, and we can actually learn something from it. So at least see it as an opportunity for growth if nothing else occurs. Also, when you have boring things to do, just see it as relaxation. You don't always have to do the big things with huge impact. Sometimes you can do the relaxing things and just do them so they're done. But you don't have to invest too much brain power into them. When it's something that you're afraid of, you can also ask yourself, how bad would it be if I'm making a mistake, if my result is not great? How bad would that be? And usually, honestly, the answer is, it's not a big deal. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody can always produce the perfect result. And as I said, if you don't start, you can be sure to fail. But if you start, you at least have a chance to learn something, to learn how it's not working in the worst case, but at least you've tried. And that counts a lot. And if it's a task that's too big, where you're like, how do I start? I don't know. Try to find the very first step. We do have a video on that as well. I link you that in the card. And really try to get at some point where you can do something. Don't try to make a full plan. That's the biggest mistake you can make. Don't try to have a full project plan from how you start and how you finish. get the very first step, because then you have something that you can do, that you can work on, and that will keep you going. That will get you into the right direction. And honestly, if nothing else works for you, at least be happy that you get paid for it. That can sometimes be the last resort, like, okay, somebody pays me for that, I'll just do it. And if nobody pays you and it's not important for you, then again, go back to the first step. Why do I have to do that? If there's no reason to do it, just don't do it. So that's the first reason we don't like the task. Second reason that can keep us from getting into working mode is distraction. And we live in a world where we have lots of opportunities for distraction. These can be phone calls, messages coming in, social media, reading the news. Just, there's so many things we can do. And it can also be things that are just going on in our mind. So it can be connected to the job. Maybe the company is firing people. Or it's maybe private things, like your dog is sick, you have trouble in your relationship. It can be anything. And we have these things, and our brain is busy with these things. So don't be too hard on yourself, first of all. This just happens, but we have to find ways to deal with distraction. So first step, again, is analysis. Try to find out what kind of things distract you. So I would kind of go for like valid distractions, let's say, things that just occupy your mind. You have personal problems maybe, or there are things in the job, people are calling you, and this may be part of your job. So the distraction may be part of your job, and you just have to find a way to define your job or to talk to others to make sure they cannot expect both of you, on the one hand, to be available all the time, and on the other hand, to really deeply concentrate on tasks that take a lot of concentration. There may have to be compromises. You cannot do both. So if you have these kind of valid distractions, maybe make more room for those distractions. Maybe take a day off, or just in your job, make sure you don't try to tackle the huge things, because you get distracted because it's part of your job. Or maybe you can time shift a little bit and say, okay, there's one afternoon where I'm really working on things that need my concentration, and I block that in my calendar. Something like that. The second thing is more the unnecessary distractions, like reading news, social media, all of those things. Again, don't be too hard on yourself. We have these things around us, and they're not just bad. They do give us information, they give us entertainment. There's a reason why we enjoy using those things. But try to find a way that works for yourself, how you get them into your life without affecting your concentration too much. So just switching off devices can help a lot. So switch off your phone, or just turn it into silent mode. At least for a while. It doesn't have to be always, but just during certain times of your day. And you can also consciously allow yourself to use these media at certain times. So for example, you could first do a piece of work and then take a break. Take a 10-minute social media break if that helps you, if it makes you feel more connected with the world, and if you need that, take that break. But just make sure it's kind of conscious and it doesn't take over your life and you cannot concentrate on the things that might be more important. So that was the second reason, distraction. Third reason, we just have too much to do in sum. So that happens a lot to me, and recently I've often analyzed, why am I not starting on anything? And the simple answer was, I have too many things on my to-do list. And I'm using Todo-Listo, of course, so I'm already filtering my list. So for a day, I may have only 5 or 6 things on the list. And even that may be too much. Because honestly, our brains in nature are not used to choosing between many alternatives. Our brain is made in a way to be good at picking between 2 or 3 alternatives. But everything that's more stresses us, because if we pick one option, we know we have to let go of the others. And this is something that stresses us. And especially when it's about work, I often feel like, oh, if I start this now, I cannot really concentrate on it because there are 5 other things lurking in my back, and I know I'll have to do those as well. But of course that doesn't make a lot of sense, because doing one thing is better than doing none, obviously. So getting out of this kind of decision paralysis is kind of key often to motivate ourselves to do something. And here we can use simple techniques from decision making to filter down the alternatives. So what is often claimed in like literature somewhere is to make lists of how important is it, how long will it take, how, just giving scores for things. Honestly, that doesn't really work. It's much easier to have simple criteria and just let tasks disappear that are not that important right now. So what you can do is go through your list and just think about what needs to be done today. What can wait? What are the things that I really should do today? And by this simple rule, many of the tasks will just, you don't want to delete them, I guess. You probably want to do those things, but make sure you visually let them disappear. So like in Todolisto, I would create myself a section for things to do later and just throw them into this box and hide the content of that box, so that I only see the things that are really important for today. If you're using like a text file for your to-do list, just add a few empty lines to make sure you have a visual distinction between the things you need to do today and things that come later. So if everything is important today, that's usually a problem, or nothing is important today, then you can also go by priorities. And I don't mean to give scores or something, but to think about why would I do one thing or the other. I mean, in Todolisto you would have categories to tell you that directly, but you can also just go through the list and think about what kind of topic is that covering? What kind of bigger project am I moving forward by doing this task? And your priorities do not have to be kind of objectively justifiable. Sometimes it can be like, this task has been lying around forever and I really want to do that and I'm in the mood of doing it, so just pick it. It doesn't have to be the thing that somebody else would find most important. Maybe it's something that gives you the most learning experience. Whatever it is. So just have this idea of why would I do these tasks? And sometimes it already manifests itself what would be the most important for you now. Another thing that often helps is, actually for any kind of decision, to do pairwise comparisons. Go through your list, first task, second task. Which is more important? The one that is less important, put it somewhere where you don't see it anymore. And then you go on. And naturally, by this, with this rule, you will end up with exactly one task that seems to be the most important. And then really hide the others, don't think about them, and start on this one task. It's much better to get one thing done than to get nothing done. And even if that one thing is not the objectively most important thing, at least you get something done. And often by starting something that is kind of unimportant, but we're more or less in the mood of doing it, we get into this flow of work. So maybe when we finished it, we want to go back to tasks that are objectively more important, and then we can also get into the flow of doing those. So the main issue is to get out of this paralysis of this, I don't start on anything. So in sum, we have 3 reasons why we often just can't get going really. First is we don't like the task. Second is we're distracted. Third, we have so much to do that we cannot really decide what to start with. And once you start this kind of analysis and dig deeper into the why, your solution will turn up more or less automatically. So really try this and get more conscious about why you don't want to start. So try this, and I hope to see you next time. Hasta luego!